Hi, I'm Tula Pink. I'm here at Back Quarter Shop Studios, and I wanted to do this little video showing you about my collection called HomeMade. So this fabric is really made for quilters, by a quilter, that's me. But I really wanted to make a collection that really represented what sewing looks like today. So I love sewing themed fabric collections. I've collected many of them over the years. And one of the things that I've always noticed is that everything in it, all the notions and the machines and everything that they put in these sewing collections are beautiful, but they're always vintage. So it's like a vintage sewing machine and vintage notions. And while I love all of that truly deeply, I didn't really felt like it reflected what I use today. I knew it was a sewing machine, but it didn't look like my sewing machine. And so I thought to myself, how cool would it be to have a sewing themed fabric collection that actually reflected more of what our sewing areas look like today. And I couldn't really find anything like that out there. So when I can't find something, typically my answer is to make it myself. And that started me on the journey of this fabric collection called HomeMade. One of the things I wanted to really express was changing the meaning of the word homemade. So when I was growing up, if you were wearing something that was homemade, that was almost in some ways, unfortunately, like not a great thing. Like people weren't like, hey, check out my new outfit, it's homemade. Like that wasn't something you bragged about as a kid. So I wanted to create a really great collection that sort of re-owned the name HomeMade in a positive light. So it was like, yeah, this is homemade, because now when I go out and I'm at the airport and I have a bag that I've made and someone says, oh my gosh, I love your bag, where'd you get that? And I say, I made it myself. That's now something I'm really proud of, rather than something that's like, oh, I couldn't afford to buy it at a store, so I made it myself. No, I could afford to buy it at a store. I chose to make it myself because that is super awesome. So this collection really reflects all that. And the way I sort of thought about the concept of this line was I sat down and I wrote down all the steps to making a quilt. And I thought, I'm going to design a piece of fabric that represents at each step of making a quilt. So the whole process in one. So the first thing I started with, obviously, is passion. That's what drives the quilt making process. So you get up on a Saturday morning and you think, I'm going to make a quilt today. I'm going to make it for a new baby that's coming. I'm going to make it for a wedding. I'm going to make it for my best friend. I'm going to make it for a friend who needs some love. I'm going to make something to make me happy. All of those things come from a place of passion. And so the best way I felt like I could represent the feeling of passion was in a piece that had a series of hands. So some of the hands are making a little heart shape. Some of the hands have little heart popped out of them. This one's holding a heart. This one's holding a little pair of snippers. This one's holding a pair of scissors. So these are all hands that are holding pieces of the quilt making process, whether it's an actual piece of hardware, a needle, a scissor, or the love itself that goes into making these things. So this piece represents the beginning of the process, the reason we quilt. And so from there, the next thing we do after we say, I'm going to make this quilt for this reason, is we gather our supplies. So I designed this piece as a gathering of all of our supplies. And so in this piece, you have scissors, thimbles, spools of thread, little safety pins, more hearts, more hands. And I made the safety pins. There's needles coming up here with little thread that runs through them. So this is the gathering of the tools. So that's the first thing we do, is gather our supplies and get ready for the process of making. So we've got our passion, we've gathered our supplies. Now it's time to plan. So we plan by getting out our rulers and our cutting mats and figuring out, what are the size pieces we're going to cut? Is it a pattern? Is it something we're going to make on the fly? Is it something we've made before? So this piece actually represents the planning process. And what this is actually the grid from my ruler, which you can actually lay on top of this and it lines up because I designed the ruler too. So I took my ruler, which is my little unicorn ruler that has a no skid unicorn on the back of it, and actually took the design that makes up the measurements and then popped out just the middle one. And in each one, there's a little bit of icon that represents some part of the sewing process. There's a button, a safety pin, a heart, a scissor, some needles, a little sewing machine. So there's little icons in the middle of each grid. And this really is an accurate 1-inch grid because I'm a quilter. So if I can make something accurate, I'm going to. And so this represents our planning process. So it's a combination of my cutting mat and my ruler with the little icons into it. So once we have our plan, now it's time to measure, right? So I designed this piece that is sort of a rolling, sort of intricate leaf design that turns on itself, and woven all through all the little leaves is this measuring tape, which is not accurate because that would have made the piece super huge. So, sorry. So this little measuring tape, so now we've measured all our pieces. We figured out how big the quilt is going to be, how big our pieces need to be. Now it's time to cut, obviously. We have to cut stuff. So then we move on to this piece. So this has all, and actually it represents my hardware is actually in the fabric. So this is all of my hardware redrawn and made into a repeating print. So we've got little scissors, all different kinds of little scissors, little buttons, little pins, rotary cutters, but this more reflects the tools that we use today. So we use rotary cutters today. We don't just use scissors. Most of us cut most of our fabric with a rotary cutter. So I thought, it's really rare that I see a fabric with actually a rotary cutter in it, even though it's the thing we probably use the most as a cutting implement. So I took all of my hardware and laid it out and redrew it and made that into a fabric. And once all of our pieces are cut, then it's time to sew them. So once we've cut all of our pieces, we have to sew them. So I wanted to make a print with a machine on it that actually looked more like a machine we would use today. More specifically, it looks like the machine that I designed for Bernina. Go figure. That's the machine I had on hand to draw from. So I actually drew my machine, and some of my favorite parts of this particular print are, of course, the machine itself, but also the plug that kind of wraps up, coils out, and the pedal. The foot pedal that's a part of the machine. I really loved putting in those like more mechanical details because I feel like that better reflects how we sew today. If I was really being truly accurate, I would have put a little iPad up here with Netflix on it, but I don't own the license to that, so I couldn't do that because let's be real, we don't sit and sew in silence. We watch movies on Netflix. I think that's pretty much how everybody does it now. So, or like a little podcast up here would have worked well too. So now we've sewn our quilt. Now it's time to baste our quilt. So this piece is called Pins and Needles, and it's all little needles like vines and little safety pins sort of scattered through all of it. So this one's called Pins and Needles, and it represents basting our quilt. And then the final piece in the collection is called Seed Stitch. And this I did sort of to represent sort of the top stitching or embellishment phase of our quilts. So some people will do, if you're making an applique quilt, will go in and embroider after it's quilted. Some people hand stitch their quilt. So it's a general seed or stitch print that represents lots of stitches on the top of the quilt. And altogether, it makes the entire process of quilting. And so this collection I did in 3 colorways. This colorway is called Morning. This colorway is called Noon. This colorway is called Noon, and this colorway is called Night. Because the making of a quilt doesn't happen in a minute. It's really a morning, noon, and night process. And so I feel like really emotionally involved with this fabric because sewing is probably my absolute most favorite thing to do in all forms, any kind of quilting, whether it be hand quilting or machine piecing or foundation piecing. I will do anything if it makes a quilt, and I love all of it. And so this really represents probably what I've dedicated my entire life to. So this one's really special to me, and it's really for me, it's our gift to us and our community. As sewers, I wanted to make, as a quilter, a fabric collection for a quilter that really talks about the thing that unites us all and binds us all together. Did you catch that? Binds us all together like a quilt. I know, it's hilarious. But so that's what this is all about, and I'm really, really excited to share it with you, and I can't wait to see what you make.